Hey guys, I think this video is probably the most important video that I'm going to make on this channel. And this has been pending for a while because I realize a lot of people may not understand the minimalist investing approach that I've taken. And a lot of people talk about beating the stock market or beating the index or beating the equity market. And I completely disagree with this approach of trying to beat the index, beat the market, or beat the equity. And I'll explain what this means first and why this doesn't make any sense. So what this means is, let's say, for example, if the index, we're talking about the Nifty or Sensex, the market itself, the index, has given you on an average, let's say 12% returns per year, or let's say 14% returns per year. Beating the index means that you're trying to get that extra 1 or 2%. Maybe you're trying to get 15% per year. Now, in theory, this sounds like a nice thing to have, like you have a little bit more than the index. But there are so many problems with this, and I want to start from the first biggest problem, is that why is this a concern? Why is this your goal, right? You need to really think about what your goals are in life, and specifically when it comes to your money goals. What are your money goals and why are they your money goals, right? So even basic things like most people do not even know how much money they need. Most people do not know how much money they spend. Most people don't have an upper limit of how much money they want to make, which are all problems, right? It's not fun to have an invisible upper limit because that leads you to a situation where you'll never have satisfaction in life. Now, similar to all of those things, coming back to the point of equity, why is it your goal to beat the equity market? What does that have to do with anything in your life? So that's something I find it hard to understand, because for me personally, my goals are to give and provide enough financial resources for my family, to have enough funds for my daughter's education, her travels, her experiences, her adventures, whatever she wants to spend money on, essentially, until she starts making her own income. My financial goals are to be able to provide for my family. My financial goals are, yes, to some extent, to beat inflation so that my wealth can grow. So eventually wealth building. But this has nothing to do with beating the index. And this is probably something that has just come from social media or from watching some traders. But think about it. How is that relevant to your financial goals, right? Of course, everyone should strive for getting as much value from their money as possible. But is beating the index the main financial goal? No, the main financial goal is to have long-term wealth. You need to preserve wealth as well, not just grow your wealth, but long-term wealth generation and growth. That should be the main goal, right? So now let's come into the second point, which is about most people in the long term do not beat the index. Now that's data. That's not me making this up. There is a lot of data on this, that most people, and when I say most people, it's 80 to 90% of the people over the long term will not beat the index. Now, very important point here is that the longer you make that long term, the fewer the percentage of people who will beat it, right? So if you go from 1 decade to 2 decades, now there's probably just less than a few percentage, 1, 2, 3% of people who will beat that index. A lot of them got lucky. A lot of them have done this since they were born, right? And a lot of them have just been studying this full time. A lot of them have been studying this full time, and most of them are still not beating, right? Most people who have made the most money have been just in the market for a very long period of time and not trying to beat the market. And I want to be a person who does not try to beat the market at all. In fact, it's in none of my financial goals to be able to beat the market. So what's the solution to all of this? The solution is index investing, which basically means you don't beat the market, but you track the market. Now guess, if you were to track the market versus if you were to beat the market, these were your two main goals. Just guess, just take a wild guess. In which category would you find most success, right? In which category would most people, most regular investors like you and me, and remember, I'm not a personal finance consultant, coach. I'm not an influencer. I don't do this for a living. I don't spend more than an hour a week reviewing my money and portfolio. I don't rebalance my portfolio more than once every 6 months. People like us, if we had to do this for 10 years, for 20 years, which one would you pick? Would you try to beat the index every day, looking at direct stocks, looking at opportunities, losing some money, gaining some money, and trying to beat the index every year for the next 10, 20 years and let go of the rest of your life and still not be able to do it? Or go for a bucket where you have 100% chance of success. There is 100% chance that you will track the market. right? Just by investing in the index. If you just invest like the way I do, you would basically just track the index. So there is one bucket where there's 100% probability of success. Someone recently commented on my video where I've shown my portfolio. And by the way, my portfolio is very simple. I could just tell you in 30 seconds what my portfolio is. My portfolio, most of my money, 40% is in large cap, of which most of it is in Nifty 50. And then I have Nifty Next 50. And then I have 10% of that is in NASDAQ, right? The rest of my portfolio is mid cap 150, and I have one actively managed small cap fund and one secondary actively managed small cap fund. That's my entire portfolio. So 80% of my money is just basically tracking the index, right? So my portfolio is tracking the index. I have a 100% chance of succeeding in the long term. I have a 100% chance of succeeding today. I have a 100% chance of succeeding next week. While if you try to beat the market, how long would you beat the market? Maybe for 1 week? You might beat the market for 1 week, for sure. You might beat the market for 1 month. You might beat the market for 6 months. You might beat the market for 1 year if you're lucky. Would you beat the market consistently for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? In most likelihood, the answer will be no. You will not be able to beat the market in the long, but you can meet the market. You can follow the market. You can track the market and still beat the inflation and still have money to grow your money and still have the chance to build and protect your family, provide them resources, and use the time that you have from all of this to enjoy the money, to actually have time with your family, to actually make more money, right? So there are only two ways to be rich. The first one is to make more money, and the second one is to let it compound by just simply investing in the index. If you think otherwise, you're probably like how I was 6 years ago when I was swing trading and I was beating the market consistently for a few months until, things went crazy. And that happens to all of us. And you might have those months which will motivate you to try to keep beating the market. But then life will come in. Probably you're not married and you're going to get married. Probably you don't have children, you're going to have children. Probably one of your children will need way more attention than the other, right? So these things will happen to you. Life is going to be outside. Most of your life, most of your real experiences that you're going to think of when you're dying are going to be outside the charts of direct stocks. They're going to be outside of what Reliance is doing. They're going to be outside of what Infosys is doing. And I just wish that you don't miss those moments in life. That's all I'm going to leave you with. So someone who commented last week on one of my YouTube videos that I'm basically just tracking the index. And yes, you're right. That's exactly what I'm doing. And the reason why this message is not out there a lot is because this is the end of YouTube, right? If you know this message, you don't need to watch any of the content anymore because you know exactly what to do with your portfolio and how to build long-term wealth. So we want to keep you in the loop. I wouldn't say we because I'm not a finfluencer, but we want to show you what Reliance is doing tomorrow, what Infosys is doing today, so that you keep coming back and you keep watching more videos and your life becomes following these companies, right? But that's not where real life is. That's the message that I want to leave you with. Please think about it and build and design your portfolio accordingly based your own research, do your own research. This is not financial advice. In fact, this is really far away from financial advice. This is just the simplest way that you can build wealth and the sure short way to do it. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.